I'm at the office today and thought I'd do a quick video to talk a little bit more about these Moondrop Blessing 3s and maybe talk about an accessory I bought for them. These are I've gotten very used to them. I really like them still. But what I wanted to mention is first that I made fun of this case, but this case is pretty good if you're going to put something like this in it. And this is a FiiO, BT3k, something like that. It's FiiO's least expensive little Bluetooth dongle. Well, this is an interesting device. It drives these quite well. It does have an equalizer, which I don't use with these, but could with other headphones, I suppose. If you wanted to, it's somewhat limited, but it does have I don't know if you can see that in this light, but it has a regular jack for plugging in these, but it also has a balanced jack for plugging in other headphones. And I've been using that with my Sennheiser HD, there, I turned it a bit, now you can see HD 398s, which I equalize. And the effect of equalizing up the bass on those is that you need to drive it with more power, of course. And that's sufficient for that purpose. So, yeah, so the question is, at the office, do you really need a good headphone? Would something like, the little Bluetooth IEMs from JBL that I use on the bus be sufficient? And, in general, yes. You tend to play music at quite low levels, and, at the office, the better microphones and whatnot that you get on those sorts of things are helpful. But I've still found that since I've taken to bringing these in over the last few days, that I've enjoyed having better quality audio in the office. So I do think it is worthwhile for most of us to consider bringing in some better IEMs. And of course, IEMs are perfect for this because they're easy to carry around, even if they're in a chunky case like this. But if the chunky case carries the cables and the IEMs and your interface, then that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is reposition, I guess, get out those cables because I only have one hand, don't have a stand with me or tripod with me today, and talk a little bit about this, how I've used it with these headphones, and then talk a little bit about maybe how I would consider using it and why you might consider getting something more expensive or less. Well, there's not really anything less expensive that's worthwhile. All right, I will do that and come right back. Okay, so here are the cables that I use with the BTR3k. This is the one it comes with, and that allows you to plug it in to charge or to plug it in via its USB-C connector to charge, or you can use it as an audio interface on a computer or a phone that supports USB-C. However, I'm in the iPhone world, so that means you need an adapter cable. And you need to get an adapter cable that is specifically designed to do audio. A regular old iPhone charging cable, data cable, will not do. Or you need to use the Apple camera connector cable. I don't have one of those, so I in fact ordered this one specifically for the purpose. There are lots of them. They're not terribly expensive, but you do have to make sure you're getting what you need. With that, the BTR3k is a 16-bit interface. It seems to work at 44.1 and 48,000 bps, so that's great. There's no point on an audio output interface, in my view, to care about, high resolution audio output. You cannot hear it. You just can't. 24 bits matters in a production setting where you need the extra headroom. But once you've mixed it, once it's been mastered, there is no purpose for extra audio headroom in there at all. It serves no use to the consumer. Maybe internally on the interface, if you're doing a lot of equalization and whatnot, then you can start to make arguments. But if you're not, you do not need higher than 16 bits, in my view, in an audio output standard. So there you go. So in your mind, you need to separate studio standards where there's going to be a lot of transformation, where you may need the headroom, where you may need more than the 96 or whatever it is, dB of dynamic range a 16-bit signal gets, right? You may want all that stuff, but there is no purpose for it in a consumer audio distribution or output standard. It serves no purpose whatsoever. So anyway, that's probably controversial, but really it isn't. So in other words, it works fine as an audio interface for any rational purpose. The only irritation is you've got to shut off charging each time you use it when you plug it into your phone. That's fine. It's probably not going to be used as an audio interface on the phone unless you're traveling and sitting on a plane for several hours, in which case that's a minor deal. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what audio interfaces this supports over Bluetooth. So we'll forget the cables and put those aside and just talk about what it supports over Bluetooth. Over Bluetooth, it supports SBC, what everything does. It supports AAC, and it supports up to aptX HD. It doesn't support the most recent aptX Adaptive, but that's just a rebranding. It's the same thing, right? So it's a Bluetooth 5 device, I believe. Okay, I'm in the Apple world, don't care about aptX. Well, I mean, it's nice to have. I do have a few devices that will use it. I care about AAC. In the Apple world, this is going to sound as good as anything does, and it sounds just fine. And in most circumstances, I could not probably tell the difference between it connected via cable or connected via AAC, keeping in mind that I do actually use lossless audio when I'm on the network at home, because why not? Again, I doubt I can hear it reliably, but I do because it's there and the network bandwidth doesn't cost me anything, right? In the car, I use, Apple standard, if it's not already sitting on the phone anyway. All right, so pretty good sounding. It has the power to drive fairly efficient headphones if you use the balanced cable. I will do a video on why balanced audio is used on these things. It's not for audio quality. It's a workaround to allow you to have higher power outputs on a battery-driven device while keeping the power supplies fairly simple. For something like these, which are extremely, well, they're not extremely, but they're quite sensitive for an IEM. Yeah, there's no reason to put a balanced cable on it, nor am I going to. What else does this do? Oh, it's got a microphone, which works just fine, so you can clip this, using a little clip on your shirt and use it for your phone calls and meetings. And it works fine in a relatively quiet environment. It's got a fairly steep filter to cut out hum and ventilation and whatnot. It's pretty well vocal range only. And it's been, whoever designed it, the chip that they're using in there did a good job. It works really quite well. It's fine. And it supports relatively high quality audio on Apple stuff, which not everything FiiO has manufactured back in the day does. So, works fine. And yeah. So, in other words, works as advertised, is quite inexpensive, is readily available in Canada, unlike some of the competitors which you have to import, and that creates a whole other headache. It's cheap. I think this was $100, taxes, delivery, and everything to my door, right? That was Amazon. So, yeah, pretty good. meets any requirement I have. It's not really any better for driving these things than, Apple's little adapter, but sounds good, does the job, makes it Bluetooth and wireless, which when you're in the office is a big convenience. All right, well, I hope that little thought about this, the BTR3k is helpful. There are lots of similar devices on the market, but I think FiiO is pretty well the name brand for these things, and I'm quite pleased with it. Nothing seriously wrong with it at all. All right, thanks for watching.